Yeah, so no, I did not start in the real estate business. I was in accounting. I had an accounting degree and got started working for a private company and met my now mentor and partner, Reed Bennett. I was working with his brother, Kyle Bennett. We were best friends and we'd pal around the city of Chicago and we'd go out and frequent pubs. And as we were drinking, I'd have conversations with Reed and he would tell me about all the deals he was doing. And specifically, there was one that I always remember where he was just like, yeah, we just closed the deal. The commission was $745,000, and my eyes just, went bug-eyed. And I was just like, I just thought every deal was that big. Um, so going back to the accounting, our company was in business for a while. We were in the semiconductor business, got affected by the GFC, and we're highly leveraged, unfortunately. And once the money ran out, we had to close our doors on the semiconductor business. But before we had closed the doors on the semiconductor company, my boss had actually started buying real estate as well. And I think that's all kind of where Reed and I kind of met. He was trying to help with, because he was a broker, and he was trying to help my boss source properties. The thing that didn't fit there was that Reed was more on the multifamily front, and we were looking for office. But what it did was it opened my eyes to real estate, and I started looking at acquisitions with my boss, and I really, really started gravitating towards real estate. And so when we went under, Reed was just like, "Hey, I really think you could be really good in the sales um, division. I know you're in accounting, but you could use your financial background to, help underwrite deals." And then he's just like, from what I can tell, you're pretty good with people. And so, I made the leap. He had said, "Hey, why don't you consider this?" I was actually considering it, but I went to my now wife and I was like, hey, babe, what do you think about me jumping into sales? Thinking she would say, no, that's not for you. You're more of an accountant type of guy. And she was just like, no, I think you'd be great at it. So I ended up jumping into real estate.
Yeah. Now, starting during the GFC or around the GFC is pretty gutsy, but how did those early years shape your mindset and your approach to deals that you do today?
Yeah, great question. What it did allow me and what Reed had said, and I don't know if I really necessarily believed him at the time because I was so scared to get out of my comfort zone. But he just said a lot of investment sales, otherwise known as brokers. We call ourselves ISA now, trying to be cooler, I guess. So investment sales advisors. He's just like a lot of these guys are getting out of the business. They don't see, a commission coming in the near term. He's just like, I think now would be a really good time to jump in, learn the business while it's really, really slow, and reach out to people and really create a name. And he was 100% right. I started, I started talking to the guys, CEOs of just top corporations, and calling them and saying, "Hey, can I buy you coffee?" And nobody was doing that at the time. Nobody was buying anybody anything because nobody had any money during the GFC. It was a very, very scary time for commercial real estate. So these guys were just like, "Who are you?" And yeah, of course, I'll take a coffee. And what those conversations did for me is I'm just a naturally curious person. So I would just ask questions and I would just sit back and listen and they would just talk and they would tell me everything. So in those meetings, I learned more, but also in those meetings, which to anybody new to this business or anybody that's going to be in investment sales, your goal is always to get a meeting because that's how you establish a relationship. You establish trust. So I didn't realize it at the time, but I was doing basically two-pronged approach. I was creating trust and building a relationship where really I just wanted to meet somebody and just talk real estate. So that's what I used to my advantage. And to Reed's credit, it was very, very good advice.